Hello and welcome to Breakfast with Boom. I'm your host, MrBooMStickXL, and I want to say I hope everyone had an amazing and, of course, safe 4th of July yesterday. I've assembled an awesome panel of gamers who have big opinions, and I also found a ton of hot topics to keep you entertained for 2 full+ hours of the best gaming news on YouTube. So let's get into the amazing introductions. First up, you know him as a gaming ambassador to the community, content creator extraordinaire, gamer with a big heart for the community, and showrunner of his outstanding YouTube channel, a dude who will give Shaggy from Scooby-Doo a run for his money, and the only gamer who will run out of the room when Blair Witch boots up on the Xbox One. Please welcome El Presidente Zemi.
All those things you just said about me are completely true. And thank you so much for that fantastic intro. Super excited to be here and get into all these news topics. So thank you so much, Boom, for setting up this fantastic show.
Oh man, it's always great to have you here. Love your honesty. Love the way that you joke around about being scared about stuff. That is always funny. But I want to talk about the next guest. He's known on these YouTube streets as the mouth of the South. And no, I'm not talking about Jimmy Hart. He's a huge voice and an important panel member of the Saltiest Gaming Podcast. He's the loudest guy in the room and possesses one of the best radio voices I've ever heard. A gamer who knows how to sing his ass off and a full-time educator. Please welcome Titan Drago.
What's up, everybody? Yeah, what's going on? I've become an educator. Thank you all. I appreciate it. Everyone's so cool on Twitter sometimes, man, because sometimes you wake up and you get on Twitter and it's like, my God, the negativity and stuff, it's enough to run you out of the door, right? But all the positive things that people have said about me and my especially my latest video, it's what keeps me around, man. It's what keeps you going. I appreciate it, everybody.
Well, listen, it's great to have you back. You haven't been on the show in a while, and I always like your opinions. Love what you do on the Saltiest Gaming Network, and it's going to be a great show. So thanks again for being here, my brother. Now, next up, we have a first-time guest that has more journalistic integrity in his pinky than IGN, Kotaku, and GameSpot combined. He's a diehard gamer / journalist with writing skills for days. He's been a gamer since the Stone Age, and at the age of 4 played the Atari 2600, where he was hooked. Co-founder of the outstanding website Seasoned Gaming since the inception of it in 2015. Please welcome Ansley Bowden.
Well, good morning, guys. You know, that was pretty good. I'm going to have to talk to Cognito. He learned well. I appreciate it.
Got to get my title belt back from that dude.
I'm excited to be here. Looking forward to chatting.
Thanks so much, man. Great to have you here. Hopefully the next time we can get you and Bert on at the same time. I know he has also a lot to say. Met both of you guys at E3 2019, had a blast, and it was really awesome to meet you guys. And I'm glad to have you on the show. So thanks again for being here. And last and no way least, another first-timer to Breakfast with Boom. He's a diehard gamer whose love for the Xbox platform has no equal. A Batman fan who enjoys the Cape Crusader so much, he built his very own Batcave and is currently awaiting the okay to join the Justice League. He's a soccer fan that someone would call fanatic and a mixer streamer on the rise to stardom. Please welcome Cybernox.
Hey, Boom. What's going on, everybody? What's going on, chat? It's an honor to be here. I feel like I've been at a concert for a million times. You know, you're the fan of the crowd waving at the band. All of a sudden, somebody taps you on the shoulder and said, "Hey, you want to go upstage and meet the band?" You are that guy, Boom. You tap me on the shoulder.
That's way too nice of you to say.
I'm gonna be that fan that's about to be, about to pass out on stage. That's gonna be me. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
It's great to have you here. Really is. It's funny. When I saw that this was the first time you were going to be on the show, I'm like, how the hell did I never invite this dude to the show? I try to get everybody from the community. You're definitely one of the good ones for sure. Love what you do on Mixer. Love your positivity on the, with the community. But you know what? The introductions were great, but we have to open up with some negative news. Unfortunately, I try to be as positive a gamer as possible. This story jumped up late. It's been all over social media. I saw it on Facebook. I saw it on Twitter. I've seen people doing YouTube videos about it. So we're going to open up with this story. A report, major PlayStation security exploits let hackers use customer credit card info without actually needing the security code. And pretty much all I can say is, wow. Now, this particular story has been really making the news, and for good reason. And, basically how the exploit operates is PSN requires all credit cards to have the CVV security number. That's that little 3-digit number on the back of your card that you're asked to put in after all of your regular information to actually tell the company that, yes, you're in possession of the card. But when you log in from a different console, it will ask you for the CVV number to the credit card on file if you have one. But before you can, and obviously that happens before you can proceed to log in. However, due to a very easy exploit, if a thief was to get their hands on someone's PlayStation user account, they could potentially rack up the victim's credit cards without even knowing the CVV number, as the process bypass requires. Why this is, besides it being already shitty that this can happen in 2019 after what happened with the PlayStation 3, where it went down for, I don't know, was it 60 days or something like that? If you've ever had to try and talk to customer service for Sony, it is probably the worst customer service in gaming. And if you are a victim of credit card fraud and your credit card company stops the charge, Sony locks out your account. And they will hold your account at ransom until you pay. It happened with my brother, Neo Mental. He had pre-ordered Destiny 2, both on the Xbox One and on the PlayStation 4. 4 months, okay, folks, 4 months before the game came out, he called up and said, listen, I want to cancel. They told him, no, you can't cancel. Well, he said, well, the game doesn't come out for 4 months. I don't understand what's going on. So he got the credit card company involved, and they backdated the charge, and Sony locked out his account, and all his digital purchases were locked out. He could not play them. So, I mean, it's unbelievable. So I just want to continue with the story real quick. Someone sent out a private message and basically explained that this isn't an exploit with the consoles; it's an exploit with the actual network. And this is coming from a modder who sent a private message, which will remain nameless. When they asked the original poster of the method as to why this exploit is only coming out today in the form of a YouTube video, the response was pretty shocking, to be honest. Sony simply did not care unless this was made public. The exploit has allegedly been around roughly for a full 5 years. So, Zemi, I have to go to you first on this, because we were talking pre-game. How bad does this really make Sony look, considering they love touting numbers, right? How many God of War sales, how many Spider-Man sales? We're hitting 100 million consoles. We're the best console maker on the planet. But they can't seem to get something simple like their securities. What does this actually say about the company?
Well, I think it's one of their biggest flaws, honestly. I mean, PlayStation, they have a lot going for them. And a lot of the times, we like to compare consoles and say, well, PlayStation's better than this or Xbox is better than that. And I don't think necessarily either console is better than the other, but they definitely both have their own flaws. The same way Xbox has flaws with their exclusive lineup, is the same way that PlayStation definitely has flaws in its, security and in its operating system and just in the technology that it uses, and even in the network, and hopefully this gets better as time goes on and they adopt, the Azure servers, but they definitely need to, touch down on keeping all of their users safe, because let's just be honest, PlayStation has more users now than Xbox does, and I think it's very important that they take care of security. A few years back, there was a ton of people that I believe were having their credit card information stolen. And I mean, that was one time, that can be forgiven. But, this is a second time that, another major red flag has been thrown up. And so I think it's definitely important for PlayStation to fix this as quickly as they can.
Yeah, I have to say that when you think about what happened, and I don't actually remember the year. I know it was the PlayStation 3. I know that the network had to be taken down offline. It might have been 45 days. It might have been 60 days. I know that it was a major black eye for the company. And this new news that just broke, and like I said, is spreading like wildfire. I'm wondering when the big sites are going to start reporting this. So, Ansley, I want to go to you on this because you have an amazing website. And what I love about your website, which is, of course, I have in the show notes, and I think everyone should go and subscribe and also follow him. But we'll talk about that at the end of the show. Is that one of your calls to fame is the integrity behind what you guys do, you and Bert. And I love that because that's something that's missing. In your opinion, how long can Sony keep doing this to their customers before people just start to not trust them anymore?
I think we've almost seen first of all, thank you, Boom, for that comment. I think we've sadly seen the answer, right? Is that this has been going on for a long time. If you look at the history of PSN was a response to Xbox Live, and it was like put together hastily years and years ago. And because of that foundation that was never really cleaned up, it's on this old foundation and it's kind of been glued and pieced together over the years. They've had security exploits and server issues and downtime, and they've had a lot of issues over the years that they simply can't just turn around and fix because of the foundation of it. So like I said, these things have been going on a long time. As you just mentioned at the top of this, right? This exploit's been around at least 5 years.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, which is this entire generation, right? That's, minus a year, right? 2014 at least. And yet it hasn't affected them. So I don't know. I think for people that are actually looking at it objectively, yeah, this is a major problem. And in general speaking, they've really got to get PSN up to date. It's just not an up-to-date network. But the problem they have is when you have however many users, they have 70, 80 million people that use it every day. Trying to upgrade that takes a very, very long time. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't like their response to it. They're, as you said, their response of just trying to kind of shove it under the carpet and act like it's not happening is ridiculous, especially in 2019. So I don't know. I don't know what they do here, but is it going to affect the people that play on PlayStation and PSN? Are they going to stop playing on PlayStation? It doesn't seem like it has, right?
Right. It's again, it's pretty unbelievable that this kind of shenanigans is going on and no one's really saying anything about it. It's pretty much like as they can do no wrong. Titan Drago, I know you have a major problem with this going on. And, it seems to me that obviously if Sony is not hearing complaints from the fan base, they're probably not going to do anything about it. But why isn't the fan base complaining?
That's my biggest problem with all this is the only people really talking about this are Xbox guys on, granted, I'm only on Twitter, and granted, I'm sure there's someone out there that, that is putting this out there, but I got a couple questions. Like one question is like, how many people, we don't know how many people this affected, because why would this all of a sudden, after 5 years of being out on the table, why would this all of a sudden just get thrown into the limelight? Like someone has had to been affected by this, right? Things like this don't, they don't just come out of thin air and like, oh, Sony's been lackluster for years now. Well, they've been lackluster for like a decade as far as their network security. But and the thing is, they're throwing it under the table because this ain't going to get fixed till next gen. There's no way they're getting fixed this generation. I mean, they're working on, their focus is on the next gen consoles, and they've already made reports that they're upgrading their infrastructure for next gen. So we'll see how that goes, and hopefully, they cover all their bases, even like someone from the Stone Age can hack their system, But let's get next gen. Sony needs to walk up to the Azure servers, in my opinion, and get on its knees. Okay, and stay there for a while. Stay there as long as it takes for Xbox to come and save their sad excuse for a network. That's what I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it again, it's shocking to me that I mean, when this story broke, I think it was 2 days ago. I saw. I didn't actually see the story until very late last night because I couldn't find it, to be honest with you. And I was able to get my hands on the story. And what wound up happening was I started seeing people posting. I think it was on Wednesday, and as of this show, I have seen no Sony response. Like not one, not like Business Insider they usually they'll report something like this. Oh, we got a quote from Sony, right? What is it? Businessindustry.net or something. They're another one that will report on it. I've been looking to see if Sony was going to make a comment on it. Say, hey, listen, we know that there's an issue we're working on. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, Boom, if I may, let me just...
Yeah, no, I was actually going to go to you next, Cyber. Please, by all means.
Yeah, I think you guys all nailed the nail right in the head. But one thing, too, it's 2019. Something like this shouldn't actually be happening now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of like what you guys stated, too. The infrastructure, when it was built, I think it was Ensley that mentioned, it was just crumbs and pieces put together.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that the Azure servers are actually going to help PSN. I don't know what they're going to use the Azure service for. I think they use Amazon's cloud service.
Yes.
But I feel bad for the people. They have 100 million, according to them, 70 to 100 million sold PlayStations out there. So for the hardcore, we're always on the news. We're always going to know about everything that's happening. But all the other millions and millions of people who are on that network, that are on that ecosystem, that don't know about it, that they have their credit cards, all their information linked in, a lot of those people, they don't know what's going on until it's too late, and that's who I feel for the most.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, for the casual market is not going to give a shit, right? We know that, and the casual market is probably, you hear the number change. Me, I like to go a little bit low. I say maybe 75% of the Sony fan base is casual. And give the 25% to the hardcore. I'd be very comfortable with those numbers, and the casuals are definitely not going to know what's going on outside of playing new Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto, 2K, whatever, and Madden. They're not going to care as long as their system turns on.
This is the funny part. This is the funny part because when I say this and I say, because me, like I'm a big Xbox guy, so anyone Sony, like a good decent amount of Sony people follow me. When I tweet this out and I don't hear from them, it's like it's really frustrating for me because it's like, guys, speak up for your own network.
Right.
But everyone's like excuse for this so far has been, and I've seen it in the chat just now, and I've gotten tweets about it. It's like, well, I don't have I don't put my credit card information on my PlayStation account. Like, what kind of answer is that? Like, is that what you need to do if you want a PlayStation account? Like,
well, I mean,
it's bad.
And another thing is not being able to put your credit card information on a console shouldn't be the go all be all way of avoiding this. You should be, as a consumer, allowed to put your credit card information onto any platform.
You shouldn't have to be worried
without worrying that your information is going to get stolen or your money is going to get stolen. And one of the most disgusting parts about this entire story is that PlayStation could fix this. They could.
Right.
I mean, Xbox, they update their crap like every single month. We see like a new update coming out, Xbox bringing new features, Xbox doing this, Xbox doing that, right? PlayStation could fix this, but I think it comes down to two things: greed and laziness. They don't want to spend the time and they don't want to spend the money in fixing their service. I think that's really the bottom line.
Yeah, and Zimmy, just to add to your point as well, if they're giving you the option for you to enter your credit card information, they should have on the infrastructure to keep your information secure. If they're giving you the option, they should be able to tell people, hey, it's fine, put your information here, trust us that your information is not going to get taken.
Yeah, I mean, in Xbox, they have layers of service. They have the ability to add in a like a pass key before every single transaction that you make on your Xbox account. They also, require you to type in your security code. I mean, and those two, minor things. I mean, obviously, I'm not, a programmer. I don't know the ins and outs. And obviously, it's a lot more complex than just saying make it a requirement to add in the security code and add in a passkey option. Obviously, it's a lot more complex than that. But I don't see how that could not be a thing that they could do, with a team of programmers paying the money.
That's true. Yeah, that simple, what is it, text verification method or whatever it is?
Yeah, two-step authentication.
Yeah, that simple little text message. Hey, did you authorize this? Yeah, no, okay. That should be simple to implement.
Yeah.
Yeah, Axel1324. Sorry, Boom. I'm just gonna acknowledge this guy
please, by all means.
Because I mentioned this to you guys on the pre-show as well. Their infrastructure was not built well, and they couldn't even change their PSN names until recently, and even that had problems.
That was a nightmare.
In their back end, however they built their network, it has some problems. It has some flaws that they need.
I got news for you. It sounds like it was put together with 3 tin cans, a piece of cardboard, and someo's leftover shoe.
Don't forget the duct tape. You always need
some duct tape in there. Yeah, listen, you know what? I'm before we go any further, and we're actually going to segue into another Sony topic, I have to give multiplayerfirst.com the absolute tip of the hat. This story I pulled from them, and thanks to everyone on Twitter who DM'd me privately about this. Multiplayerfirst.com. I never heard of them. Now I'm following them because they broke this story, and I got news for you folks. Last night I was up writing the intros past just before 1. I shut everything down, and I went looking just to see if anyone was reporting this. Do you know that this site that I have never heard of is the only site reporting this? They're the only ones talking about this. Not IGN, not Kotaku, not GameSpot, none of any of the
Push
big
Square ain't gonna do it.
Yeah, well, Push Square is certainly not going to do it. That is definitely for sure. My point is that it's amazing that a very small site drops this megaton bomb and no one picks it up. Like, it seems as if, when you look at what's going on behind the scenes, and I'm not going to turn this into a media biased, lynch mob, but, I have to call a spade, and it makes you wonder exactly how much dollars or how many dollars are going towards the IGNs, the Kotakus, and the GameSpots, that they're afraid that if they run a story like this, and this is you can consider this a hit piece if you want. This is just the truth is the truth. If they report this, are they going to be hurt in the pocket? And if that in fact is the case, then we have a bigger problem that no one wants to talk about.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. But you know what? Nothing surprises me. Like, I woke up this morning to people defending ice cream licking morons.
Oh God, please. Yeah.
I got people defending them, and then we got, people just saying nothing about this huge hole in network integrity. Like, again.
Yeah, they didn't learn their lessons from the first time this happened, where their network was down, and now it seems as if. And I think Ansley kind of really hit the nail on the head. This has been around for 5 years, folks. Holy shit! Like, I can't believe we're from just hearing about this, and no one's mad. No one is upset that this has been around for 5 years.
It's not a problem.
Unbelievable.
Hasn't happened to me.
Yeah. Well, I guess until they steal $280 worth of credit card monies from you, and you have to pay Sony that. What are you going to do? And then people start to get mad. But you know what? I want to segue into a story that I pulled from Metro UK.com regarding Sony's positioning themselves for the hardcore audience and huge budget exclusives. And obviously, folks, this is not going to come off as any news. It's worked for them big time in this generation. And I'm not surprised with this. And I don't think anybody on this panel or anybody in the chat is actually. I say this all the time, and I don't say it with a smirk. They are the masters of marketing. And they know how to make a game, even though if it's multi-plat, seem as if it's only on their console. I mean, it worked with Destiny. it worked with Red Dead Redemption 2. I've actually had people be like, hey, did you know that Red Dead Redemption 2 was on Sony on the PlayStation? I'm like, yeah, I'm playing it on the Xbox. No, it's not. It's exclusive. I've had people tell me that. Like, I'm like, oh my god, this is like an insane asylum, and unfortunately, that's happening with Final Fantasy VII. As a matter of fact, I'm not sure if you saw the IGN piece the other day. They said which Sony exclusive are you most excited for, and they had Final Fantasy listed with like The Last of Us and the rest of their exclusives. And I'm like, wait a second, that's a multi-plat, folks. I don't understand. What is this? This is craziness. But for this particular story, Sony CEO Kenichiro Yoshida had described the console as being a niche product. Obviously, when he said that, a lot of people were like jumping out of windows, especially in the Sony fan base, because they're like, I can't believe he would said that. But I don't think he meant it in a negative term, like most people were trying to spin it. He was meaning that the hardcore is what they're focusing on, and they confirm that. And obviously, this particular part of Sony, and it's a big corporation, the PlayStation is the most profitable for them, and the PlayStation 4 success has been widely attributed to Sony's own high quality, critically acclaimed first party exclusives, which is why I own a PlayStation 4. As a matter of fact, most circles that I currently run in, people that I know own a PlayStation 4 for their exclusives only and play everything else on the Xbox. And obviously Sony recognizes that their hardcore helped sell to the casuals. Obviously, if you ask a casual person who doesn't buy 17 games a year like anybody on this panel, they buy 4 games, right? And they were probably told in the office or just hanging out or at the gym or playing ball on the court, wherever, hey, what system do you have? Well, I have a PS4. Oh, is that the cool system? Yes, it's the cool system, right? So everyone buys the cool system. Sony ran some pretty big sales during the holidays. Almost every year they had them. I mean, they were practically giving the PlayStation 4s away. So my question basically to the panel, we won't spend too much time on this because obviously this is standard fare. These tactics are tried and true path to success for Sony. It worked this gen, and they're looking to go through start next gen like 10 paces ahead of everyone else. Are you surprised by this? And what more are you expecting in regards to the latest rumor of them locking down third-party software? And I'll start with Zemi on this. So what do you think they're going to change their tactics, or they're going to go for the the one-shot kill?
Yeah, I think they're definitely going to go for the gold. I mean, what's been working for them has been working for them, and historically, it's the best tactic to go with. But and I think short term, yeah, it's definitely going to increase sales. It's definitely going to drive the company forward. But I think in the long term, what Xbox is doing is a lot more beneficial, like financially and just consumer friendly practices as well. I don't know. I mean, for a very long time, I think a lot of us have seen that the market is transitioning to streaming. And so I think my only fear for PlayStation is if they put all of their eggs in this basket, trying to lock down third-party exclusives, spending all their money doing that type of things, how are they going to be able to build a good infrastructure like Xbox has with its streaming capability?
That's a great point.
That's really where the market is going. And I know that there's been plenty of people that have said this in the past, during the Xbox 360 days, there was, some people talking about how that was going to be the last console generation. And then, this generation, there's been people talking about how this is going to be the last console generation. But I definitely think that streaming is becoming a more available option for many gamers, and doing, just keeping with the same practice that has got them, victory all of this generation, I don't think is the smartest move necessarily.
Yeah, I agree. I absolutely agree. Again, we I mean, listen, dude. If we see where the money is going. So, Ansley, I want to get your opinion on this. You know, Zemi brings up some great points about the investment. And obviously, they're investing heavily into their first party. They're building more teams within their first party to allow them to make more than one game. Makes perfect sense. There's been talk about them possibly buying a developer or three, though we don't know if that's in fact going to happen. But in your opinion, you know, what's worked for Sony in between from 2014 to present has just been nothing short of amazing. Do you expect them to continue the same kind of prowess?
Yeah, 100%. So this is absolutely a case of if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Right.
You know, they've done fantastically well this gen. In fact, they've done so well because most people don't realize, most people think Sony is this mega corporation. They're not. They're only a $70 billion company, which sounds big. It's not that big. And as you already noted earlier, PlayStation, from a revenue perspective, is actually more than 50% of their revenue in today's market, which is kind of insane when you think about it. So if you look at what Xbox brings in, it's a tiny, tiny percentage of what Microsoft does overall. PlayStation is critical to Sony. And so, of course, they're going to double down on their success. You know, it's worked for them this generation. They've increased their revenue. I mean, they've increased it tenfold this generation, especially on the digital side. They have one of the things Sony does really well that Xbox still needs to, you know, is kind of working to get there, is they have a fantastic distribution strategy across the world, right? So they're in a lot of markets and they're heavily favored in a lot of markets where Xbox isn't. They've got a very solid foundation. We were talking about the terrible PSN foundation. From a distribution and console foundation, Sony's in very good shape.
Yeah, it's rock solid for sure.
Yeah. And so, they're absolutely going to double down. The conversation for years, you guys know, the conversation for the past few years has been around their exclusives. It's turned into the conversation at the top of everyone's mind. And so why would they not double down on these games? God of War 2 and Horizon Zero Dawn 2 and whatever else they're going to bring. But one thing Sony's also very good at is as you already said, right, is marketing and kind of knowing what to say to the public versus what they're actually doing.
Great point, dude. Great point.
And so they're saying this because it'll get all the Sony guys like, yes, that's what we want. We're console guys. We love it. It makes it look like they're only focusing on this, which they're not, you know. Behind the scenes, they will be investing in things like, you know, the whole conversation around Sony agreeing with Microsoft to use the Azure servers and look at potential for cloud streaming in the future. Did you know how quietly that went over? You know, that was talked about for like 2 days and no one's talking about it.
Right.
And that's because Sony will be making these moves on the backside. They're just not going to come out publicly and talk about it because they know that's not what they need to say to their fan base. What they're going to say to their fan base is exactly what they're saying. We love you, hardcore guys. We're going to double down on exclusive. The console is going to be amazing. So they're good at this. This is what they do well.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. It's everything that they do. I'm probably going to get tomatoes thrown at me for this. I wish Microsoft would learn. Steal a freaking page out of their book. You know, the one thing that I say all the time, and again, I should have a shirt made up with this. I say it so much.
Do it.
Ansley, they sell hope to their fan base, and they're really good at doing it. And even when the chips are down, they sell hope in a way that no one else does.
Yeah,
and selling hope sells consoles.
It reminds me, what first came to mind was the quote from Tommy Boy, where he's like, I could sell a ketchup popsicle to a guy holding white gloves. Like, that's Sony.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
they can do that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. If you're leading a company and you're leading a division that has 25 billion annually in revenue, you want to do that, right? That's your goal. But I think you're right. In this area, this is where they dominate Microsoft. They have for years. 100%. I don't know what it is. Trust me, if I knew how to do it, I'd be doing it. So I don't know. That's what they do well.
Well, listen, it's going to be interesting. Titan, before I get your opinion, I just got to say Infinite Double A with the outstanding $5 super chat. He says, hey, Boom and panel, just wanted to say that I love the work you guys do. The amount of podcasts you do a week, Boom, it's insane. Keep up the good work. Yes, it does get a little bit tiresome, but I actually really enjoy doing it, and it helps being retired. So that obviously helps, with my gaming career. I put the police career behind me. Now it's all gaming all the time. And thanks so much for the generosity and also the really cool comment. I really appreciate that. And Titan, obviously a lot of people had, so far have a lot of good things to say about Sony's marketing and what they're going to do in the next generation. Do you expect them to continue just pounding out these big blockbuster AAA titles that everyone, gives that nines and tens and they hold Metacritic scores up to the heavens?
That's a good question. I do think they'll keep doing that, but let's not forget about the backtracking that they do as their marketing. Let's not forget months ago the PlayStation CEO stated that the console gamer is niche, the console area is niche.
Yeah.
And then they say this, and it's like kind of the exact opposite. I guess it just depends on how you want to look at it. If you're a Sony fan, of course, you're going to look at no matter what they say on the up and up. And me as an Xbox guy, I'm going to look at it as you're freaking liars. So, but boom, whenever Microsoft wakes up and hires us for their marketing team,
I am telling you.
There you go.
Yes.
Wouldn't you agree that I think Microsoft needs to grab their lawyers and have them do their job, because there's no way this should be legal for the PlayStation marketing to, the PlayStation marketing, they're good enough that they don't need to use these dirty moves like
dirty tactics. Yes.
Yeah, lying about games being exclusive to PlayStation. They know what they're doing. Like, they're good. Of course they know what they're doing, but they're so good. Like, I don't understand why they even use these tactics. And Microsoft needs to make them pay, because this should not be legal. And they've done it in so many different ways. There's so many examples out there. And the most egregious one, like you said, Boom, was the Red Dead Redemption 2 marketing on their bundle package with the PlayStation and the Red Dead 2 Redemption game. That was blatantly like a lie.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Anyone that saw that.
Yeah, it was. It was false advertising at its finest.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's where I think Microsoft needs to lawyer up and really attack them on this front. But will they do it? I really doubt it. Like, no. Microsoft has to have a full-time legal team on staff, right?
I would hope so.
Do your job.
Oh, my God. Well, listen, you know what? Look, the thing is this. Sony has put themselves in this position. Yes, they do use some of that. Remember back in the days, in the old wrestling days, there was a wrestler called Kabuki, and when he was losing, he would go dig into his pants and he'd throw that salt in the wrestler's eye, turn the tide. That's Sony. Sony is throwing the salt in the eye of Microsoft. They don't see what's going on. I hope that eventually they carry a bottle of water with them and kind of get that salt out of there and start using some of the tactics that were used against them for the next generation. Like I said, I love Phil Spencer. I love what he's done for the brand. He's really turned the ship around. Yes, it's slow. Yep. Yes, there's first-party issues. They're rectifying it. The power is being rectified. Everything that he said he was going to do has been fixed. My only problem, and I actually have a video that I'm doing some research on that I'm going to be putting out there next week regarding Microsoft's marketing. The change has to happen in next gen, man. I mean, they cannot go into the next generation against Sony's big power box and all their first party games and use the same people in marketing. But again, that's a horse for another of another color, so to speak. Yep. Cyber, I want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, you heard everyone. Dirty tactics. The best marketing team money could buy. I mean, do you expect Sony to ramp it up, even go further than what they did in this generation, to really kind of stranglehold the market when it starts next generation, which is next year?
Listen, I think you guys, everybody said exactly what I'm thinking as well. But one thing you got to give it up to Sony is whoever's in charge of their PR and their marketing division, give them a raise.
Yes.
Don't ever let them go, because not only do they know when to let these announcements out, they know how to let them out, right? It's been a month after E3 and nobody's talking about Xbox anymore. Everybody's now talking about the PS5, right? by far, they're probably one of the best in the business, in my opinion.
You're right.
But I also see in the background some concern from Sony, right? The Xbox division is on the watch now on for the top 100 business to watch in 2019.
Yes.
The Xbox division,
Yes,
not
the
Microsoft,
Xbox, not
as a whole.
Microsoft. Great
So
point, dude. Great
that's
point.
the first time. And you also got to take into consideration, kind of like Ensley said, Sony will tell you exactly what you want to hear at that moment. Remember, in 2015, they were all about the indies. Now they're saying indies don't matter.
Yes,
Indies do not
true.
sell any
True.
consoles, right? They show Shenmue 3 on their stage. They gave them stage time, and Shenmue 3, unfortunately, is going through a whole debacle themselves. So they'll tell the fans exactly what they want to hear right at that time, and then whatever happens in the future happens. They'll go along with the punches, and they'll find another way to counter exactly what they said. So I think because why I think they're concerned is they have 100 million PlayStation 4s out there. They need something for the hardcore. They want to grab not only their hardcore to buy their PS5s, but they also want to grab, PC enthusiasts, Xbox guys, Nintendo guys. They want to grab whoever they can to buy their PlayStation 5s, because how many people that own a PS4 are going to go to the PS5 right away? I don't think a lot. A lot of people bought their PS4s now, exactly when they had the tremendous sale, $200 for a PS4. Everybody bought one. So their marketing team is the best. I think they're going to keep doing these tactics as has worked out for them since I can remember. But I also see a little bit of concern on their part moving forward.
No, you know what? That's a great point. That is a real fantastic point. The PlayStation 4 casual fan base, which, we said, or I said, is 75%. It could be more, but I'm going to lowball it at 75% because the PlayStation Nation is a rabid fan base. And I would say that, to say and be fair about it, 25% of that is definitely hardcore. There's no doubt about it. That's a very, very, passionate, sometimes very vocally nasty fan base. Not all of them, certainly. It's a small portion. Every console has their idiots, right? So it's not just Sony. But what you said about the PlayStation 4, or the people keeping their PlayStation 4s, I think you really kind of hit the nail on the head there. The 15 to 25% may run out, and are probably going to run out by PlayStation 5 day one, not even think about it. But you still have all those casuals, the 80 to 75 to 80% of the 100 million out there. They're not racing out to spend $500 because that's what this box is going to be. It's going to be 500. I know everyone keeps saying, no, it's 4. No, it's 4. It's going to, Sony's going to do 4. The tech that they're looking to put into this thing, Sony is not in a financial position to
And when has a console ever been the same price 2 generations in a row?
Yeah, it's never been. It's both boxes are going to be 500. I think the Microsoft box could potentially be more, but they'll come in at 500 and maybe eat a little on the back end because they can't. They cannot come out again with a higher price than Sony. They cannot. They're gonna have to come out and match the price.
Yep.
And this has been a great topic. I don't want to spend too much time on it because obviously we know what they're going to do. But real quick before we move on, get Cyber. You want to add something?
Piggyback off of that real quick. In this category, it's Sony is a victim of their own success, in my opinion. Here, they do a tremendous. They know how to get the most out of their own hardware, right? God of War looks phenomenal. Horizon Zero Dawn looks amazing. All these games look phenomenal. So how are you going to convince someone else to buy a new console next generation when you're getting great performance and visual, aesthetics or graphics already from your PS4? It's going to be a hard sell. So that's why I see them, saying this to the hardcore fans, because they want as many hardcore guys to get their PS5s as they can.
The only way they're going to get away with that is if, and this would be, in my opinion, considered consumer anti-friendly, as if they release games only on the PlayStation 5 and say, hey, folks, sorry, Horizon Zero Dawn, PS5 only, suck it. You know, if they if they do that, then they're going to force people to. I mean, I don't know how many casuals are going to run out and spend it, but they're going to definitely force people to buy it. I think a lot of people, and this goes for the Xbox as well. I mean, if the Anaconda, it's going to be a monster. There's no doubt about it. But if you have an X already, you know what I'm saying? You just, you're not going to sell your third kid to get the next Xbox. Right. You know what I'm saying? You'll just keep playing on your X. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see where they go. It's going to be a war next year for sure. But you know what? Before we move on to the next topic, I have to thank Gotham Guy in the super with the super chat of $5. Thank you so much, Gotham Guy. If you don't know, this proper gentleman was the reason why I was able to get into Xbox Fan Fest. His +1 wound up backing out the last minute, and he was very nice enough to offer it to me. And of course, I'm always going to be in his debt for an experience I'll never forget. Again, Fan Fest, and I've said this again, it's not going to be an Xbox topic, but Fan Fest, Microsoft treats their fans like rock stars. The access that you have to all of their big time, gold label members like the Phil Spencers and the Aaron Greenbergs and the Rod Fergusons. They were all there. They were all handshaking. They were all giving autographs and pictures. It was pretty amazing. Gotham Guy says Microsoft needs to take their marketing for Cyberpunk 2077 to the highest degree possible. Yeah, I agree with that, Gotham Guy. Hopefully they go full in. And, obviously, I saw a lot of people tweeting about this. Gears, 2 months away, not a lot of marketing. I don't know, man. I'm starting to get a little nervous. I mean, the game's going to be amazing, but come on, Microsoft, spend some freaking money.
Yeah,
Christ.
that's rough,
it just
man.
really just makes me mad as a fan that, we have to sell it for them. And I'm not getting paid from Microsoft. But I want to move on to the next story in which crushes me as a fan. The Batman voice actor who's played the Batman character in all of the Arkham games basically went to Twitter and is publicly asking for Rocksteady to make a new game. And hearing this makes me believe that there's no chance in hell that Rocksteady is actually working on a new Batman title. So my question is, what the hell are they doing over there? Oof. In a story that I pulled from Game Rant, which is one of my favorite sites, they're reporting that the voice actor in the series, which of course is the very famous Kevin Conroy, has tweeted out his support for a new Batman game. And the message has the fans buzzing. And it's funny that I have a huge Batman fan in Cybernox here. Yes. So I'm going to actually go to you first in a second. But the Arkham Knight released 4 years ago. And it's clear that many fans like myself and, of course, Cybernox are hopeful that a new entry to the series is in the cards in the future. And while Rocksteady has been very quiet, there's been no official indication on a new Arkham title, which is sad, in my opinion. And it's amazing that we're going to go through an entire generation with only one Batman game. I mean, it's sickening. Last week, a Rocksteady studio made a tweet to celebrate the 4-year anniversary of Batman Arkham Knight. And the message got to Conroy's his attention, and he tweeted a celebratory message and added, "But why stop there?" Suggesting that the voice actor was keen to don the cowl once again. And I actually tweeted at Rocksteady and told him, and exactly went like this: "It's great that you're celebrating, that the Arkham Knight's 4-year anniversary." But I think now is the time for a new Batman title. And I didn't get any response, which I, of course, didn't expect to get one. And Cybernox, I want to go to you first. This is a travesty of justice.
Yes, it is.
There's no way about it. And what I think what's worse is the fact that we're not privy to any information from Rocksteady, and their willingness to stay quiet is not only annoying, but it's almost a kick to the teeth of the fans clamoring for a new title. What are your opinions on this, dude?
Well, you know how people normally say, "Hey, who's your favorite Batman?" my favorite Batman is Kevin Conroy.
Yeah,
all right?
nice. Great.
I've always, every time
love
I
it.
read a comic, every time I read something about Batman, I always hear Kevin Conroy's voice in my head. All right. I don't know about anybody else's, but that's me. With that said, Rocksteady did something phenomenal with the Batman Arkham franchise. They put a superhero game, in my opinion, on the map.
Yes.
They became one of my favorite studios. The scale of that game is phenomenal to me. I could play any of the Arkham games, even Origins, to be honest with you, anytime.
I love
anytime.
Origins. That gets a lot of hate, but I thought that game was fantastic.
Me too. I don't mind. It's a little bit biased on my part because I'm a huge Batman fan, so take that with a grain of salt. But it's sad, that he tweeted that. We obviously don't know exactly what Rocksteady's working on. At first, we thought it was a Justice League game. Now people are saying it might be a Suicide Squad game. I just hope they gave us something. I thought they were gonna show up on Microsoft's E3 stage this year. Obviously, they didn't. Maybe this is gonna be a next gen game only. I'm not really sure. But what I'd like to say too is WB Montreal is obviously working on a Batman game.
They are, dude. You know what it's going to be, right?
Yep, they've teased a little bit about the Court of Owls, which gets me super hyped. But it'd be a shame. It really would be a shame. Not a shame, but it would be disappointing to me if they didn't get Kevin Conroy to play Batman in their game as well. But for him to tweet something like that, it just, it breaks my heart a little bit. But I trust Rocksteady. I hope we get to see something from them soon. And I'm pretty sure that their next game is going to be just as up to par with the Batman Arkham series.
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be just as good or better than what we would expect.
For sure. 100%.
There's no doubt about it. I trust Rocksteady.
But Kevin Conroy, man, and when that Batman, that voice that he has, like when you play Batman and you play the Arkham games and you hear Kevin Conroy's, the whole cast, because they got the whole cast from the Batman animated series, or most of the cast, it's just phenomenal. You feel like you're in Gotham, you feel like you're Batman, and then the interaction between him and the Joker, it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. I just hope
it's really, it's probably some of the best acting that's not in a film.
It really is. And that immersion, that's what sells you on the game. And then when you're there, like that intro to Batman Arkham Knight, I don't know if everybody here has played, but that intro, the way it comes in and the camera's just panning out and he's already on top of the tower, but you just can't see him. Oh my God, it gives me chills every single time. It's amazing. Like Rocksteady's going to do a phenomenal job. I just hope they take more advantage of, use Kevin Conroy and the whole cast as much as you can. Like, please do it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. It's almost it's sad that we don't know. It's frustrating as fans that they're just not talking about it. Ansley, I want to get to you on this. First of all, are you a big Arkham Knight fan? And when you hear that Kevin Conroy, who obviously is Batman by all accounts, is asking to be picked up to work for them to do it, what does your confidence level go all the way down that they're not doing anything Batman related?
It is kind of strange, so I'm going to disappoint you guys here, but no, I'm not a huge Batman game fan. Not that the games weren't amazing, it's just not something I get into, really.
Kick Ansley off the show right now. Right now, kick him off.
Yeah, I was hesitant to even say that. But no, I mean, obviously the games are super highly rated. I know many people consider them the best superhero games ever made, right? And I think that's what's so frustrating here. So I can't comment too much about Conroy and their potential for Batman games, but just Rocksteady's silence that you were talking about is really, really odd. Like, it's been 4 years. We kind of know they're working on something. The rumor was Superman, and then that's changed. But the only thing they've said, unless you guys can correct me here, in the past several months is no, we won't be at E3.
Yes, that's the only thing, dude. Yep.
And it's like, just say something. Just give your fans. You've got this huge fan base that you created a love for this trilogy, or even more, right? Depending on how you look at it. And they're like chomping at the bit for any piece of information. Just give them something. We were just talking about how Sony knows what to say and when to say it, right? Rocksteady doesn't have to say much. Just say something to get your fans re-engaged and excited about whatever comic-based property you're working on. It's really strange to me. I don't understand it.
It is definitely strange, but I just want to let you know that Bert said I should kick you off the show. I just want you to know that.
It's because so I've only played I played Arkham Asylum, and I've only played the Batman games a little bit. And then I played Spider-Man for a little bit, and I'm like, it's just not up my alley. It's just not my type of game. And so yeah, they don't like that.
Okay, well, that's okay. Listen, not every game is for every gamer. Another T-shirt that's going to be coming to the Boom shop very soon. Titan Drago, Batman, obviously, I think that when you look back to the Xbox 360 all the way up until, Arkham Knight, it is a series that has transcended what how good a Batman game or a superhero game should be. The first of all, Batman's rogue gallery, outside of going up against Spider-Man's, they're two of the best in comics. Their amount of bad guys that they can tap into that go from the most obscure all the way to the most famous is limitless for both characters. Batman more specifically, because that's what we're talking about. Are you as a fan disappointed that Rocksteady just will not talk about what they're doing, giving fans some closure?
Well, I'm not gonna go in without a warning like Ainsley did over there. So Boom, Zemi, Cyber, and Bert, do me a favor while I talk. Put them earmuffs on, okay? You're not gonna like what I have to say.
Thanks for the warning. That's good.
I'll preface my statement with something positive so the chat doesn't start a vote and press 1 to kick Titan off the panel. But I like the Batman games, right? They're good, fun to play. I have nothing negative to say about them. But like for me, however, like earmuffs, guys, like I'm burnt out. All right, personally, a Batman, I'm burnt out. Like, I named my second son Clark, for crying out loud, okay? And I named him after Clark Kent, okay?
Nice.
So I know I'm being greedy here, but give me a Superman game over here. And if Batman has to bite the bullet, then so be it.
Well, listen, look, I think everyone wants a Superman game. I think that, I'm going to be honest with you, when it was rumored that Rocksteady was actually going to do it, my confidence level went through the roof simply because I think they're the only company that could do it, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I think that
they would do it justice.
They would, and they could make it space-based. They can make it universe-based where he was fighting people of his strength. You know what I'm saying? And I think that'd be a good way to do it. I mean, listen, he is Superman, so no one's really been able to do. I mean, if you think about it, up until Rocksteady, no one was able to do a Batman game correctly. We got side scrollers. You know what I'm saying? Like,
they brought it to another stratosphere.
Right. So they figured out a way to do Batman. I'm sure that they could figure out how to do a Superman. But I think what's frustrating from any fan, regardless of what hero you want them to make, their silence is deafening. And it's also, again, very frustrating that we don't know. Zemi, I want to go to you next on this. Just so everyone know, Zemi is not the biggest superhero fan as well, but his opinion obviously is just as important as everyone else, and he always has something important to say. Zemi, what do you think about this? Even though superhero games are not your thing, just looking at it from a gamer's perspective, do you feel and understand why the fan base is frustrated with Rocksteady?
Yeah, I mean, I do. But I'll be honest with you. I don't know if the next game that Rocksteady is making is even going to be a Batman game or even possibly even be a superhero game. And you know what? I'm just gonna say this because I really like Harry Potter, but it could be the leaked Harry Potter game that we saw multiple months back.
Ooh, that's right.
That's a definite possibility. You guys said that Montreal, Warner Brothers Montreal is already making a Batman game or is working on one. Who's to say that Warner Brothers didn't transition Batman, the next Batman title, to Warner Brothers Montreal to give Rocksteady time to make a Harry Potter game? Now, with that being said, there's a lot of other studios that Warner Brothers has that would better fit the bill to make this Harry Potter game. but I don't know. I mean, I see it could happen. Another option is, it might be that Rocksteady is working on a Joker game because the new movie is coming out, I think, like in October or something. So they might be possibly working on just a Joker game where you play as Joker going around doing evil things. And then, a Justice League game. I don't think that that's completely impossible. I mean, Avengers has been very, very successful, and Warner Brothers might want to capitalize on that market and make a Justice League game. But personally, myself, I really want to see them make this Harry Potter game because, I mean, they're a very good AAA studio. They know what they're doing. I've never played any of the Batman games, but I've heard really, really good stuff from it. I've seen gameplay of the Batman game, so I know that they're an excellent studio. So my only hope would be a Harry Potter game.
Well, we know that they're working on something. Remember those that trailers, video that leaked out from someone that was testing it. Looked amazing, and then when they talked about it, it sounds amazing. You're gonna make your own character. You're not Harry Potter per se. So that's
the game just sounds so good. I want this game so badly.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, again, listen, it would be nice. Again, at the end of the day, it would just be nice to know what the hell they're doing and come out and say, listen, folks, we're not doing a Batman game. It's not in the cards, but we're working on something we can't talk about. Let people know, and that goes for WB Montreal. If they are in fact working on a Batman game, they should be really upfront. The fans have been I mean, this is something that pops up almost weekly on social media. When is the next Batman game? And again, we did see one of the developers tweet out a picture where she's wearing a Court of Owls t-shirt. So I don't think they would have done that just to kind of be an ass. I think they did that because
amazing. Court of Owls would be amazing.
That's one of the best Batman stories ever told.
Kidding me?
It really is. I'm reading through it now. My brother always was getting on me to read that, and I'm reading it. It's unbelievable.
Fantastic. Yeah,
it's unbelievable.
If you haven't had a chance to read The Court of Owls, just buy the graphic novel. It's amazing.
I'm reading it on Comixology right now. On my tablet.
Amazing. It's amazing. So good.
Well, listen, this has been a great topic. Again, it's I wish I would have a better answer for anyone that is a Batman fan, but I thought it would be interesting that the comments coming out of Kevin Conroy, who is of course Batman, and if he's asking for it, that means that they're not working on it. So it sucks. But Cyberpunk 2077 is going to be a big game. We know it's coming out next year. I pre-ordered the collector's edition. I think you did, Ainsley, as well. Yeah. That stash looks amazing. The game is going to be amazing. But they in a recent interview, they talked about weapon customization and they detailed it. And they're saying that it's going to feature a ridiculous amount of weapons that include revolvers, sniper rifles, katanas, and all kinds of tools of destruction for players to use. And Cyberpunk 2077's will be offering a tremendous amount of freedom for players within the game. And we know the narrative is going to be a big deal. We know the missions are going to be on the size and scale and scope of The Witcher 3, which we know how that went. But no one really was really talking about the weapons. And I pulled this story from Gaming Bolt where they were interviewing the Quest director. I think it's I'm going to butcher this name. That's terrible. Mateusz. And I'm not even going to try and pronounce the last name. Forget about it, because then it's going to sound terrible. But they discussed some very interesting details on the weapons, their variety, and what players will use throughout the entire time in this vast world of Cyberpunk 2077. And his comments were pretty interesting, which is why I added it. He said, you can customize the weapons in a number of ways. You can attach scopes, attach silencers, and things like that. It's based on, of course, specific weapons and how many slots for improvements they have. So each weapon is going to have different slots that you can add. Some are going to have more, some are going to have less. As for how many types of weapons we have, I remember just a number of them, but we have quite a many of them in the game. So there are melee weapons. They have katanas, hammers, knives, and something called a nanowire, which I'm assuming you can choke someone out with or cut their head off or whatever. And it says that basically you can use these wires in a fight, but you can also use them when you're a net runner to hack remotely into people or devices. On top of that, we're going to have a number of range weapons. We have heavy guns, light machine guns, revolvers, sniper rifles, and the such. So here's my question to the panel, and I'll start with Zemi because I know Zemi's super stoked for this game. We already know that there's no morale system, which I think is actually pretty cool. But hearing that the Cyberpunk's 2077's weapons are going to be front and center for me anyway, as a fan of first-person shooters, is basically music to my ears. Are you excited to see how many weapons they're going to offer you while you're playing the game next year?
Oh yeah, I am. And I hope that there is like 1,000 different variants to like each and every weapon. You know what I mean? Like there's like multiple versions of like sniper rifles and stuff like that. Whenever like in that article that you're referring to, whenever they were talking about customization, they didn't really elaborate too much on that, which was kind of disappointing. Like, you know, I think they mentioned you can put like suppressors and scopes. I would have liked to hear a little bit more information on that, like you know, extended mags, different grips, possibly like be able to like change the appearance of the weapon, like skins or like camouflages or whatever. But every single time I hear about this game, I just get more excited and more excited. And I think it's really important that they are talking about the weapons because, I mean, this is, you know, it's an RPG, but it's also a first-person shooter, you know, in the same way. And so, I mean, gunplay is going to be very, very important. And from what I saw of the gameplay, the gunplay looks really, really on point.
It looks tight. Yeah.
So then the only question is, you know, is there going to be a huge variety in weapons? And I think that there is. And I'm super excited, man. Every single time. And this nanowire, I don't know what it is, but it sounds really cool. Like as soon as I heard nanowire, I was thinking of some like mafia dude, like, you know, like picking up the piano wire.
Yeah, exactly. You know, Z Black Rider, Zemi, is saying that it's like a lightsaber whip.
I can speak to it, Boom.
Speak on it, brother.
Yeah, so I was we got the closed door demo at E3 of
Cyberpunk.
Oh,
nice, dude.
And yeah, so the nanowire is really cool. They showed it being used, and it's like this orange glowing whip, and you can whip people with it. You can like sling it and hack into terminals so that you can open doors and do all kinds of other stuff. And then they also showed like close quarter combat with it, where you could do things like you said. And it's like this all-purpose tool that looks really, really cool. Like I think Z Black Rider said it's almost like a lightsaber that you can like flick and whip. So it's really neat looking.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome that you were able to get in there. I know also Cognito was able to get an interview and get that behind closed doors. I'm too small. I'm too small, right? Small time to get those invites from CD Projekt Red. Maybe next
year, Boom. Next year.
Yeah,
we'll definitely see.
Oh, I didn't get invited. I kind of forced my way in.
Oh, good. That's good. Strong on them in there. That's the way I see it. You're using Cyberpunk 2077 tactics. I like it. You know what, Ainsley? Being that you were talking about it, for you personally, are you excited that the game is going to have a significant amount of weapons and upgrades, so each and every one that plays the game is really going to be playing it in their own way?
Yeah, this game, in case you hadn't noticed, I'm a Witcher 3 fan. I think it's the game of the generation, maybe the greatest game of all time, in my opinion. And I think Cyberpunk is already going to take over my life when it releases. So hearing this about the weapons and everything, I'm also like a big Borderlands fan, and I just love action role-playing games. So the fact that this is going to have kind of that massive world, all the dynamics around the dialogue that we've seen and how you can customize your character and the choices you make, combined with, countless looting, basically, for weapons and modification. I think this is just this. I don't even know what to say. Like, there's too many superlatives I could use about how excited I am for this game. But But yeah, what we saw in the demo was fantastic. I've told people before it looked a little rough around the edges, which comes off real negative, right? Not meant to be, because the game still has what 8-10 months to release, and they'll polish it up. But the actual, like, the ability and how you approach situations, like Deus Ex, you know, if you're a big Deus Ex fan, some of those games and how you can approach situations, it's going to have those dynamics mixed with the size of the world, like Witcher, and the RPG elements. It's just, I don't know, man. This is absolutely one of my top anticipated games by far.
It's funny. The game is you said like 6 to 8 months away, and it's probably already in most people's books as game of the year 2020. Yeah. It's unbelievable. I mean, well, listen, it's going to be good. I'm glad that you clarified exactly what that whip is. That does sound badass for sure. Cybernox, I want to go to you next on this. You know, obviously this is. I mean, needless to say, this is going to be a big game. It was CD Projekt Red. They're up there with the media as the developer darlings for sure. With not only just the media, but the fan base for sure. And this has been getting some big numbers when people talk about it, when they show video of it, how many times people watch it. I mean, like when the first 48-minute video came out, I think it was late last year, I must have watched it about 5 times. I mean, that's almost 5 hours of just watching the same trailer. That's how intrigued I am. For you personally, though, besides the game looking absolutely amazing, are you excited that you're going to be able to have all this customization like right out of the gate?
Oh, absolutely. Kind of like what Ensley said, I'm a huge fan of The Witcher 3 as well. I think it's probably one of the best games ever made. And for CD Projekt Red to come out with Cyberpunk 2070, it's amazing. It's amazing. I am excited. I'm a little bit curious as well. I don't know if it's gonna be a little bit of the Borderlands effect, where you have multiple of the same weapons, where you're just gonna be able to customize a couple things here and there, or if you're just going to be able to freely customize one weapon whichever way you want. But this game is looking, to me, it's looking phenomenal as it is. The scale of this game, it looks phenomenal. We can see, you know, from the demos that they've shown. And the irony of all of it is I believe you can go throughout the whole game without killing anybody.
That's correct. Yep.
So they're doing all this effort into all this weapon and doing all these, you know, unique different customizations for your weapons for everybody to try, and you can do all that and still go throughout the whole game without killing anybody, which I think it's pretty cool too. So yeah, I'm interested to see what we're gonna be able to play with and customize, how we're gonna be able to customize our weapons. But I can't wait for this game too. 2020 is gonna be a big year.
Yeah, it's already shaping up to be one of the biggest years, not only with games, but the 2 consoles are going to be coming out. It's pretty unbelievable. People's wallets are going to be screaming bloody murder.
100%.
There's no doubt about that. Titan Drago, I want to get your final opinion on this. You know, obviously, you've heard what everyone had to say. The game is massive. But I think that one of the things that's very interesting in games of this scale and scope is the loot. Now, this is not a looter shooter, obviously, but the fact that you're going to be able to acquire so many different types of guns and personalize your murder sprees sounds extremely interesting to me.
Or non-murder sprees.
Or non-murder sprees. You can just, choke people out or hopefully there's dart guns. You can just put them to sleep, like in Metal Gear.
Yeah,
what are your excitement levels for this game?
Man, well, this is if you want to compare it to #sports like football, like I always like to do, this is the #1 draft pick. It checks all the boxes. You know, you're at the combine. This game checks all the boxes. Out of the box, it's an automatic game of the year contender. I think that's pretty safe to say. It's got all the hype in the world behind it. It's got Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
I mean, just more and more, and just really cool stuff just seems to be like popping up out of the woodwork about this game. I really would. Someone said it in the chat earlier. I think it was, or maybe someone tweeted me about it. But they said Microsoft needs to get as many of the rights possible to this game, and I couldn't agree more. But I really don't think that's gonna happen. But I think that would be a huge win for Microsoft if they could get any extras they could with this game.
Yeah, I agree. That's a great point, Titan. Great point.
Custom consoles. Do whatever you can with this game, because these are the games, like the hype games like this. These are the games you want to focus on. It's CD Projekt Red, the the best of the best devs, man. And I'd be weary about the weapon customization if it was anyone but CD Projekt Red. I'd be weary about that, because sometimes, as a train goes by, sometimes there's a little too much weapon customization in a lot of games. But I have confidence that they'll handle it all very well, and it sounds like an amazing game. Sounds like you're going to have more options than you know what to deal with, and I think it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it should be pretty incredible. Dave, I'll put it this way: for a game as far out as it is, we have seen a lot of Cyberpunk, and I got to be honest with you, I'm like with Zemi. Every time we hear more, I get even more excited. I get more hype for this game, if that's even possible. And the game is still, like Ainsley was saying, 6 to 8 months away. It's pretty incredible. When they do these polls of what you're looking forward to in the next generation, this is always at number 1 or number 2. And I think everyone is. I think this is going to be one of those games that is going to be genre defining. I think that this actually could possibly outpace The Witcher 3, which everyone has as game of the generation. And I'm excited to see what they're going to do. I'm glad that this isn't going to be your cookie cutter shooter, and I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, for instance, if you take a Wolfenstein game, you know what you're going to get in a Wolfenstein game, right? You know you're going to just shoot the shit out of everything, pick up big guns, and then in the next level, even bigger guns. Whereas this, because it's an action RPG, there's so much to do in the world. I'm happy to know that if you want to go on killing sprees and you don't want to take the easy way out, they're going to offer that to you through the different weapon customizations. I think it's going to be a big deal.
There's one more thing I didn't get to say about why this is such an important game for Xbox too.
Absolutely,
this is why you want to have the most powerful console to run this game the best.
Right, showcase your hardware.
Exactly, man. To have a multi-plat of this caliber run best on your console.
It's confirmed 4K on X1X too.
Yes. Yep. That's a big deal. That is definitely a big deal. Real quick,
marketing should be all over that.
Well, listen again, Titan. I'm still waiting for the phone call where they're sending us, you and I, both applications for Microsoft to make Xbox great again. No hat necessary for that. Just hire us and we'll sell your console and your games. Don't worry. Real quick, I have to shout out Matt Burns in the chat. He says 117 people watching and only 33 likes. Listen, folks, here's the thing. I know that hitting that like button may put somebody out of their way, and I don't want to do that. I just want to entertain. But if you are entertained by what we're doing today on any show that I do, I work really, really hard behind the scenes. I mean, like I said, and I don't say this because I'm looking to get extra clicks, but I'm up past midnight 3 nights a week. I was up almost to 1 last night, finishing off the show to make sure that your 2 hours is the best you can get on YouTube. A lot of thought, a lot of work goes into writing these shows. All I ask is that you keep it nice and fair in the chat, which I enjoy, because I enjoy having a good chat. I like it to be a safe space for people to come and just be gamers and talk, with one another. And I do ask that 2 other things. One, that you do hit the like button. It does mean a lot. I don't understand, and I don't know anyone that actually understands the algorithms of YouTube. But if something is not getting a lot of likes, it's probably not going to get to other people to view it. So the more likes these shows get, the more viewers I get, and the more subs I get, and obviously the channel expands. And obviously, if it wouldn't be too much trouble, tweet this out. Let other people know that this show is on live, because some people don't know that there's a breakfast gaming show. And I try to do the advertising as much as I can, but with the word of mouth, it does really help the channel grow. I do greatly appreciate that. And of course, if you can, hit that like button. But let's move on to the next topic. Again, This is a game that's coming out next year, way next year. Marvel's Avengers is something I'm very much looking forward to. And again, this isn't. I know that a lot of people may not be their cup of tea with the superhero games, but I thought this was pretty interesting. In a story that I pulled from comicbook.com, the producer of Marvel's Avengers is saying that they want to be at least as good or definitely better than Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4. And considering how great Spider-Man was, my hype levels cannot be contained. I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love the MCU. The MCU obviously is hot. Obviously before Marvel Spider-Man released on the PlayStation 4 last year, there really wasn't a lot of high bar Marvel video games. And obviously with its success, now the bar has been set high thanks to Spider-Man and of course the outstanding Insomniac games. And Square Enix president Yosuke Matsuda had this to say while talking to GameIndustry.biz. Spider-Man was a huge title and a major success, so we would like to work hard to have that kind of success. He goes on to say, so I guess I did increase my expectations for Avengers. I do believe you have to have high goals. I thought Spider-Man was fantastic, but we don't want to be bested by them. We're working very hard on the development effort right now so that we are able to provide a better and new experience than Spider-Man. And obviously, if you recall, Spider-Man's Insomniac Spider-Man didn't really receive a lot of hype until it actually released, and then everybody was jumping on board. I was on board from the beginning because I love Spider-Man as a character. So I'm going to go right to the panel. And Cyber, because you're a Batman fan, I'm assuming that you probably enjoy superhero games. I want to go to you. For me, I'm stoked to play Marvel's Avengers when it releases in May of 2020. And considering that the A-team, in parentheses or air quotes, that of Crystal Dynamics, who produced the incredible Rise of the Tomb Raider, I have complete confidence in this next big Marvel title. How excited are you personally to play Marvel's Avengers next year?
Yeah, Boom. Kind of like what you said, or alluded to. I am a big superhero fan. I did not play Spider-Man on the PS4, but I did watch a walkthrough on YouTube. Not to take any credit away from Insomniac, but I think they played it a little bit safe with Spider-Man, and they took some ideas from the Batman games.
Yes, for sure,
for 100%. Even some of the missions, the mission structures, everything like that. But with that said, I'm curious to see what Crystal Dynamics is going to do with this Avengers game, because it's got to be a team based, right? Dynamic, or I don't know how they're gonna do it, but I have confidence in them. I think Tomb Raider was a great reboot for the series. 1 and 2 were phenomenal. I'm excited for it, especially if you're gonna be able to play co-op with your friends. We gotta see. I think we gotta see a little bit more from it. We until we get our hands on it, I don't know what I can really say about it, but I'm excited for it. Like I said, if they're taking the blueprint from Spider-Man and let's say the Batman Arkham games, I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen. Well, I'm going to tell you this. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The Marvel's Avengers is going to be a very heavy story narrative game, a very much on the same lines as Spider-Man. And it's more single player focused than a lot of people give it credit for. Yeah, sure, it's being touted as a multiplayer game, but the main story is all going to be single player, which I'm actually excited for, because I'm a selfish gamer. I'm an old school gamer. I of course love playing online, but I do like a very heavy story narrative game.
Oh, me too. Yeah.
And sometimes when you're playing with your friends, they're talking, you miss some stuff. I want to sit there and enjoy the story. That's what I want to enjoy. You know, Ainsley, I want to go to you. I listen. I know that what your feelings are on the superhero genre, but this is going to be a big game for the industry as a whole. More specifically for Crystal Dynamics. Marvel, obviously, in the past has not put out good games. They've all been really, really terrible outside of a very small few in like the Ultimate Alliance series, which the third one is releasing this month exclusively on the Switch. Yeah. But are you happy to hear that they're setting? I mean, listen, I see a lot of people in the chat are like, yeah, you know, Spider-Man sucks, whatever. That's okay. You know, if you didn't like the game, that's fine. I'm not gonna browbeat you over it. I loved it. I put 60 hours into it. I could not stop playing it. Do you like that the producer is saying that they have they've set themselves at a high bar to surpass the success of Spider-Man?
It's the right thing to say. We're back to the right things to say again, right? Whether or not it'll happen is a whole nother matter.
Right. Answer.
So real quick, and yeah, I see the chats, people saying Spider-Man sucks, and I said I only put a few hours into it. It doesn't suck. Like you said, Boom, not every game's for every person. It's a good game. Just because I didn't enjoy it doesn't mean it's a bad game. I think it doesn't have to be one or the other, right? Terrible game, amazing game. Like,
right.
So, yeah, I think Cyber said it, though. The interesting thing, I didn't get the closed-door Avengers thing at E3. We tried. They were booked up.
Dude, I could not get in. I tried PR, and they just never got back to me.
No, I tried. I walked up to the desk, and they barely even look at you. They're like, no, we're done. But anyway, I was hoping to see more of it. I don't think what they showed at E3, the demo they showed, it was a really odd presentation in my opinion. Because it was like they would show, it was almost like a cinematic where they were trying to show it from like a movie perspective, and then they would insert little bits of the game, but you couldn't tell. No, it didn't give you a good sense of what the game is really going to be like. And I think that was a mistake, especially knowing the hype behind the game and how many people are waiting to see what this truly is. I think they could have done a much better job. So to Cyber's point, there's not a whole lot I can say because we don't know enough about the game right now. I'm happy that they want to hit the bar of quality that Spider-Man hit. I'm happy that they want to have a good narrative. Doesn't everyone want to make a good game with a good narrative? I mean, that's not really saying much. So until we see more of it, I can't really say too much more.
Well, I'm going to say this. Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con more specifically, is in a couple of weeks. Yeah. Marvel is going to have a big I think it's supposed to be an hour or an hour and a half of, you know, they're gonna basically detail what the MCU is gonna do in the next 5 years. And I think I'd like to assume, without making an ass out of everyone, and including myself, that they're gonna be there in a big way to show off what they did not show off at E3, which is gameplay. Now I know that there was a line that was a 3-hour wait to play that game. It was one of the longest waits at E3. I walked past the booth. Booth was very nice. I just didn't get in because I'm not standing online for 3 hours. I'm sorry. It's insane. Yep. Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, listen, I'm excited because I'm a Marvel fan. The fact they get to use Captain America, if he's not dead, because they kind of show him dead, hopefully he's not. And you get to use him. I'm interested outside of the core Avengers, who they're going to bring in.
Not to interrupt you, Boom, but just to that point, the success of Endgame, right, is monumental. How do you not go to E3 after Endgame and capitalize on that?
I don't.
Doesn't make any sense.
A marketing blunder for sure.
Blunder.
Yeah, I mean, Titan, I want to go to you on this, dude. Again, don't know whether or not you're excited, but I think this is going to be one of those massive selling games in 2020. We're getting in at May. May's a great month for it. There's a lot. It's pre-summer, and obviously it's still in the spring area. There should not be a lot of stuff around there. I think we're getting a couple of new Marvel movies next year that are going to, of course, hype up the fan base for this. We know Sony has the marketing rights on this because they're going to be getting some Spider-Man related stuff that's exclusive in regards to outfits. That's what they're going to get out of it. So no big deal there. What are your excitement levels on this?
Pretty low, actually. Okay. I think you're right. I think it will sell. I think it'll sell like hotcakes. However, I do think it will come with a lot of upset. Like, can you imagine the amount of work ahead of Crystal Dynamics right now? Like, developing a game with one superhero alone, that's hard enough, right?
Yeah.
And then you're going to throw in all these superheroes and throw in all at once. You got to create the story, and then it's all got to work together. And like, then you got the people that are diehard, you know, the fans of the movie, that they're going to have a problem with it. You know, a lot can go wrong. All right. It's a tall order, and I'm weary about this game for those reasons. Like, give me the L if it releases and it's amazing. But this game has hype, and it honestly, it's got fail written all over it, in my opinion.
I think you're right. It's because there's a load of hype. They're setting expectations higher by coming out and saying these things, right? So there's really, if it doesn't hit all the bars, highly rated, highly selling, it's going to be considered a failure, and that's a tough thing to put. You're putting your developers in a corner, big time.
Has Crystal Dynamics ever done a multiplayer game?
Not as far as I know, dude.
Yeah, so that can bring, you know, another level of concern. Not that they're not up to the par, up to the task, but you know, if you have experience in doing a multiplayer game, it'll be a little bit more beneficial to you. But like you said, Boom, it is going to be a single player story driven game as well, and we know that they had experience with that. So, you know,
well, they're comparing the multiplayer to like Strikes and Destiny. You know what I'm saying? There are going to be a part of the story that will transition into the story that you're playing through the single player portion, but it's being linked to something like that, except it's with 4 players.
Right.
So I don't want to say the word anthem, because then that's don't do that, Boom. I'm not gonna say anthem, but you know, obviously
Boom's
anthem
trying to be a marketing guy, and that's one of the words you can't say.
I'm still waiting for the phone call. I don't know, man.
Marketing faux pas.
Yeah, I'm still waiting. But Zemi, let's close out this topic. Obviously, I actually think that you said you were excited about this game, even though you're not normally a superhero kind of a guy, because of the story narrative that they're going to be pushing. What do you think about them saying, like, setting these bars, like they want to be better than Spider-Man, which in most people's accounts was fantastic?
Yeah, I mean, so I don't care about superhero stuff. You know, that type of stuff doesn't excite me. What excites me is a strong narrative,
right?
You know,
yes.
I mean, because you know, my point of view is this is a video game, and I like video games, and if it has a strong narrative, if it has good gameplay, you know, I'm basically in, right? I never played like the Spider-Man game, so I don't really know, you know, necessarily, you know, what's good from the games and what's bad from the games. What I do know is the people that are in like my personal circle that have played the game have said nothing but good things about it. So I think, you know, with their direction of making it better than Spider-Man, I think that that's a good goal to have. The biggest thing for me is the gameplay, not, you know, just going to you know, a location and just tapping the X button, you know, 100 times to, you know, defeat an enemy. You know, I don't really like button mashers, and that's a big reason why I've stayed away from a lot of superhero games. So, and everything that I've seen so far from the gameplay looks, you know, from the little bit of gameplay that we've gotten, it doesn't look like a button masher. It looks like the gameplay has a lot of thought and dynamic mechanics to it. So if that's true, and if it does have a strong narrative story, then I'm definitely in it. I'm not necessarily, you know, super hyped or excited about the game. But like I said, there's nothing that I've seen from the game that has told me not to buy it yet.
Okay. I mean, that definitely makes sense for sure. I mean, listen, it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this narrative. It's obviously, I think one of the exciting things for me as a fan is that this has no correlation with the actual current MCU. This is its own universe with its own set of heroes, villains, so they could pretty much do whatever they want. They're not tied down to you know, a particular Earth, like Earth 616. I don't necessarily know if that's the Earth that they're going to be doing it in, but all I know is it's been confirmed that this is their own set universe. So they're not, there's no ground rules they have to follow. They're going to make the story. It's going to be whatever they're going to make, and that's going to be it. So I think that the bar besides being set high for what the game is eventually going to be, I think that the writers are going to have a field day by offering new content over the course of what they're saying for years. So, I mean, are we going to get a Secret Wars? Are we going to get a Secret Invasion? Are we going to get, you know, something like that on those lines of scale and scope? It's going to be interesting. I'm excited, but this is, again, great topic. I want to move on to the next one, though. In a story that I pulled from GamesRadar.com, new GTA 6 leaks say that the game is going to be set between the 70s and 80s in Brazil. Now, they're saying that it's inspired by Netflix Narcos, which I've never watched, but I heard is fantastic. And considering how large GTA 6 is rumored to be, I'm actually okay with the almost confirmation that it's going to be a next-gen title only, meaning that you're going to be able to play this on the next consoles, and that's it. So you're going to play it on the PS5, not the PS4, Xbox Anaconda, and not anything else, simply because it's going to need that kind of power to run these this gigantic game. Now, the code name for this is Project Americas, and this is actually not the first time we're hearing this. And according to the leak, there are going to be 4 main characters working your way up through a drug cartel and a split storyline, making it the biggest GTA to date. Online rumors suggest that the development has been ongoing since the release of GTA 5, but some are saying that even before then, which is crazy to think that they were working on 6 before they were working on 5. It doesn't even make any sense. But this GTA leak is no joke, and it was posted by Reddit user Jack-O-Lantern1982, who has posted a lengthy bullet point list of what apparently is going to be in the next Grand Theft Auto game, including that it's going to be set across multiple decades, deals with the rise of the drug cartel, and is set partly in Vice City. You can let's see. I'm going to read some of the bullet points, which are pretty outrageous. It's going to be set in 2 cities, and I think that's the first time that's actually happening. Actually, multiple cities. I'm sorry, not 2, multiple. You're going to have Vice City, which is obviously a fictional regionero. Some linear missions that take place in Liberty City, which is pretty actually insane that you're going to be able to play 2 different locations. And the game's balance of realism versus arcade won't be as realistic as Red Dead Redemption 2. And I don't think it could, to be honest with you. And 1 playable protagonist, male, not female, despite rumored leaks of having a female protagonist, which it doesn't matter if they do. If they do, it's going to be great. You know, I don't care, male, female. I'm interested to see where they're going to go. It's going to take place between the 70s and 80s. And it's actually going to be the rise of an up-and-coming drug lord wannabe named Ricardo. And another key character called Casey is part of the narrative. You start off as a grunt doing runs as a cocaine smuggler from Vice City to the new large South America area before making connections with big-time drug lords and making your way up the ladder. I'm sorry, folks. I don't mean to laugh. It's pretty funny when you think about it. There will also be a giant prison, which will play a big part in the game. No surprise there, folks. You're gonna go to jail eventually. Which and it's gonna feature a chapter system similar to a Tarantino flick or Red Dead Redemption 2. Of course, weather is going to be a heavy focus, hurricanes, floods, and such. And they're saying that the soundtrack is going to be the biggest in the game's history. That's going to span both the 70s and 80s. And I love the music from both eras. It's funny because they're going to actually implement a drug empire building mechanic similar to Vice City Stories, but bigger. And they're saying, think GTA Online, a GTA Online system, but dial up to 10. And your personal vehicle is going to be basically like your horse saddle in Red Dead Redemption 2. All of your equipment is going to be stored in the trunk. You're going to be able to store your body armor in the car and put it on, take it off. And you're only going to be able to carry only a few guns at a time. It's not going to have like an arsenal in your back pocket or like in that other game where you pull a ladder out of your ass.
No,
it's not going to be like that. You're actually going to have to run to your car to get the next gun that you want.
Why do I know what game you're talking about?
Well, listen, I didn't want to say, but the guy making it, his name is Kojima, so take that with a grain of salt. But you know what? I want to go to the panel. There's no ETA release date for this. The game is in mega pre-alpha. From what they're saying. Obviously, we've already talked about it being not on PS4 and Xbox One, so I mean, listen, guys, there's a lot to unpack here. This is a mega, info dump, and the guy Jack O'Lantern, just so anyone knows, has this isn't a no-name poster on Reddit. He has produced some other GTA related information that's all have come true. So again, whether or not this is, take this with a grain of salt, go to Reddit, look up GTA 6, look up Jack O'Lantern, and say, I mean, I could have been here for another hour. There's another page of stuff that I can't talk about because it's just too much. So here's the thing. GTA 6, guys, is going to be one of the biggest games in the history of gaming. When it releases, it's going to break sales numbers that we've never seen before. I mean, for crying out loud, GTA 5, a game is 172 years old, is still in the top 10 every freaking month, which is insane. And I say this jokingly. I think everybody on this panel, including that are listening in the chat, bought GTA 5 7 times, and you just don't know it. I mean, that's how many copies they've sold. It's ridiculous. And I'll go to Ainsley first on this. When you hear this leak and the size of what they're looking to do GTA 6, first of all, what is your opinion on it being next gen only? Do you think that's an issue? And will it hurt sales? And are you excited to play GTA 6?
Yeah, basically everything you said, I love. I love that it's next gen only, but then I'm, for selfish reasons, right? Because I'm going to be next gen day one on whatever, all consoles.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, it's going to impact sales to some degree, but probably not in the long term. I mean, you just said it with GTA 5. I mean, that game, we can't even figure out why that game continues to sell like it does every month, right? But no, I love this. I loved Red Dead Redemption 2. It's one of my, I think it's right behind Witcher 3 for game of the generation. I know it was a little slow for some people. GTA won't be in that same slow vein, right? They're not recreating the Wild West. So a 70s, 80s environment, and if you think about the type of music and soundtracks GTA has historically had and the impact that can have on the game from 70s and 80s, you're pulling from an amazing amount of content. Mentioning Vice City, which is my favorite Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, I'd agree there. Yeah.
I love that era and the music, and just obviously, with Grand Theft Auto and Rockstar talking about being part of the drug cartels and rising up, it's going to be over the top and ridiculous and hilarious at the same time. This just sounds fantastic to me, and thinking about running this on Anaconda or PS5, I mean, this is great.
I'm wondering if there's going to be a cocaine sniffing mini game. Press A, press square, like a button press. If you mess up, you sneeze and all the cocoa falls on the floor. I don't know.
But I wouldn't put it past them. That's for sure. But
it is Rockstar, right? And the one thing that they're besides making wacky characters that are extremely memorable, besides having some really off-the-cuff comedy that I don't necessarily know that they understand that they're doing. It's like, if you remember 5, each character's personalities were so off the wall different. I can't even pick one of the characters that I really enjoyed using all 3 of them, simply because, not only were they hilarious, but their lives surrounding the characters were hilarious. One had family problems, ex-mobster, right? One was a complete junkie, lunatic, trailer park trash, and the other guy was, a guy from the hood, and everyone had their own different problems. Cybernox, I want to go to you next on this. Based on what you're hearing, Are you excited for GTA 6 on what they potentially could tell in a story? And are you upset that it's only going to be next generation, or does that make the game even bigger and better?
I mean, can I play this game right now? Please.
Yes.
Come on. From what the article you sent to us, Boom, it's set in Brazil. I'm Brazilian, so I'm already in. I'm already in. I want to see what they're gonna do, during that time. And how can you go against Rockstar? They've consistently have proven themselves with the GTA series, with Red Dead Redemption. Like,
have they ever made a bad game?
They haven't. It's amazing, and I think they're gonna find that they're gonna fine tune that balance of realism, kind of like what you mentioned. Like maybe Red Dead Redemption 2 was too realistic for some people, and I think they're gonna find a happy medium between GTA and Red Dead. That it's just, I think this game it's got so much potential. It's gonna be phenomenal. I don't have a problem with it being next gen only. I want us to see the highest fidelity of this game that we can on the hardware. I want the hardware to push out as much as I can. And honestly, Rockstar is not worried about it. They still, kind of like what you mentioned, they still have GTA 5 on the top 10 NPD consistently every month after month. They're still getting tons of money. So in that aspect, I think they feel that they're a little bit safe that they can release GTA 6 on next gen hardware only. That way, anyone who experienced their games is going to experience it to the highest fidelity that it can be. And it's going to be very important. I think if Xbox needs to have the marketing rights for a game, please, GTA 6. Okay, don't let this one slip through your fingers.
Yeah, there were rumors about Sony having like a 30-day exclusivity to the game. That obviously has been debunked numerous times. I think that there's no way that they're going to allow. Hold on, as the sirens go by. I always get sirens. It's like they wait for me, and they wait for that. They're down the block. Like, are he speaking? Let's put on the sirens and run past his place, and throw a monkey wrench in the breakfast.
They're listening to the podcast. Boom,
yeah, you know what? I actually have quite a few police officers that listen while they're on duty, which is pretty awesome. You think about it. But getting back to GTA, one other part that I did not mention that's part of the narrative, and I think it's very important to discuss, is that they're going to be talking about topics like HIV and immigration, the immigration crisis during the 80s. And that's two real heavy, things to talk about in a video game. And there's also going to be a fictional version of Fidel Castro, by the way, which is pretty interesting. Zemi, you heard about how big this game is going to be. You heard about all of the leaks. Like I said, there's another whole page. Like I said, I'll add it into the show notes if anybody's interested, want to read this. It's a pretty interesting read. If you're a GTA fan, I think you have to read this story. A lot of stuff was really broken down. Are you excited to see what they do with the new hardware and a new GTA? But do you have any concerns that it's only going to be next generation, completely boxing out 150 plus million players?
Yeah, so I'm absolutely, I don't think I could be any more excited. I really hope that these leaks are true and that everything said so far is accurate. And as far as, this game being locked to next generation, I don't have any problem with that at all, because to be honest with you, I don't think the base model PlayStation or the base model, like the very first model Xbox, would really be able to run this game the way that the developers would want it to be ran. So I'm perfectly fine with it being a next generation title only. And I am so pumped for this game. Every single thing, right? And I'm having so many like flashbacks to like other games that I've played. It really kind of seems like they're really adopting a lot of really cool features from a lot of other games. Like, I don't know if you guys ever played Scarface. Like, there was a Scarface game back on like the PlayStation 2 and the Xbox original. And you actually had to go to Cuba to get your cocaine and then bring it back to Miami to sell it. And that was fantastic. I love doing that. I mean, I was like 10, but it was fantastic. making deals on like a roadside in Cuba for like 3 kilos. Like, it was fantastic. I loved it. And then they also mentioned how the world will change, and like you mentioned that chapter system. That's kind of similar to how it was in Mafia 2.
Yes.
There was big gaps, and they also mentioned the prison, and that made me think of Mafia 2 as well. But one thing that Mafia 2 did very, very well was whenever time changed, they really changed the world. They changed the cars. They changed the music that was on the radio. They also had weather effects. At the very beginning of the game, once you get past the prologue, you're in, a New York style city, and snow is everywhere, and the physics and everything is just fantastic. I think that they're really borrowing a lot of ideas that work tremendously well from other games, and I'm super excited. And I loved Red Dead Redemption 2. I understand that some people might say it was way too realistic versus what they've previously done, but I am also happy to hear that they're kind of trying to find a happy middle. I love the ability that you're not able to carry like 3 AKs and a rocket launcher and all sorts of junk in your backpack, like on your character, and that you're actually going to have to walk around the car, open up the trunk, and take what you need. And I think that that's going to really it's going to help elevate the game, because whenever you go into a warehouse or something to kill all the bad guys, you're going to have to think before you walk into that warehouse, okay, what exactly am I going to need? And you might have to make the decision to take like an M16 rather than being able to take a grenade launcher. And I think it's going to impact the game tremendously. I'm super excited about this game. I cannot wait.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be a big one. Titan Drago, I don't think I got your opinion on this. Looking at the show notes, they did mention that this game has been in development or pre-development since 2012, but production didn't properly start until 2015. Obviously, the team was very focused on Red Dead Redemption 2, making sure that was a great game. Now, I played Red Dead 2 like everyone else. I got to the end of chapter 4, and I just ran out of steam. It was so slow. It was so methodical.
You gotta get over that hump, Boom.
Yeah, I heard that chapters 5 and 6 are bananas.
Yeah,
and I'm gonna have to play it. I think that I'm gonna have to. If I don't play it, I'm gonna have to have my card taken from somebody in the chat, because I've been hearing that 5 and 6 are just like mind blowing.
Well, it also didn't help that what is it? The other open world game that you said that I just beat. And,
Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Oh, yes. Yeah, that's.
So it didn't help that there was all these open world games that came out at the same time. We're all gamers here. I think we're a victim of the open world fatigue, and
it could be. Yeah. Sure.
So absolutely. I think that's a big part of it. But when it comes back to GTA 5, I just had a thought, and it's like, now we all know what those PlayStation hackers have been stealing people's money for, right? Buying GTA 5 daily for everyone on PlayStation Network for years now.
Oh, but anyways, my God.
Anyways, I think being next gen only is the only way to go, in my opinion. Rockstar is going to show off what the next gen consoles can do. They're not going to. Doesn't seem like they want to be worried about making. It seems like they only want to make their one version, and release it like that, and maybe worry about the weaker consoles or the older consoles down the line. I think that's the way to go. I think that's the way every game developer should go from now on, because if Xbox wants to keep these old consoles around, that's fine and dandy for those people that got the consoles, but I really don't want the developers worrying about that. Let that come later. You know what I'm saying? Do you follow me with that?
Yeah, no, what you're saying makes perfect sense. Look, here's the thing. I know that, like, for instance, like Microsoft has this grand ideology where they want games to work across multiple consoles. And the only way that this is going to work is if these consoles are somehow enabled with xCloud technology through an app or through a system update where the actual X Cloud is going to be doing all of the heavy work. Now we've seen this work. A lot of people don't know this in Japan, where they had Resident Evil 7 running on a Switch, but the actual console was doing very little work. Everything else was being controlled by the cloud. Now that is not available here in the States. That is only in Japan. There's one other game that they're running that in Japan. I don't recall what it was. That was also a very graphically intense game on the Switch that looked amazing, but the cloud was doing the heavy lifting. The only way that Microsoft's, like I said, ideology works is if they're able to allow these older consoles to have some sort of ability to run from the cloud.
Yep. I couldn't agree more, man. And I hope that they do go that route, because I really, like you said, their ideology, I'm not following it along. Like I don't see an Xbox One S or an Xbox S lasting for that long. You know, it's like
they eventually have to be put out to pasture.
Yeah, load times are abysmal right now as it is. And then next gen, like, get out of here. You know, there's a reason why they're going SSDs. So, but as far we're talking about GTA 6 now, like, do we have a release window for like a window, like anything? Because I don't know what Mega Ultimate Pre-Alpha means, Boom.
Well, I can tell you this: if they've been working on it since 2015, if the story is correct, remember, folks, this is a leak from someone in the supposed know. This isn't, a Boom is putting a stamp of approval on this. This is a Reddit leak, so you got to take it with a grain of salt. But this is
all this stuff sounded pretty legit, though.
It's funny. A lot of the stuff, Titan, was already spoken about by other people that also are in the know. So, and it seems like they're collaborating, that they're all kind of getting the information from the same place.
Yeah, it didn't seem like anything too out of the box where it's like, I don't really believe that. It seemed like pretty basic stuff, but there was a lot of information given to us. It was an awesome leak. I thought, as far like, to me, it's like taking Red Dead Redemption 2, only putting great online and next gen,
exactly.
Like, what more can you ask for, really? Like, I read this leak. There's a ton to it, a lot of details. The only thing, like, I'm not that really hyped for when they say the game is going to span decades, because unless they're going to do something really different, most of the games that, tout that kind of thing don't really show you the world, how it changed based on your decisions. Usually, it's like, if you kill this guy, it's going to look like, the world will turn like this. And if you leave him, let him live, it'll be like that, stuff like that. Problem is, you usually don't see those differences. Only in very few games do you actually get to see what the world would have looked like if you decided to kill that person instead of let them live. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, it does definitely make sense. Real quick, I just have to shout out some guy in the chat. Assassin's Creed Odyssey was the game that's running in Japan on the Switch. I saw it running on video, and it looked amazing. And that, of course, is being powered by the cloud, because there's no way that Switch in its current power is running Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I'm sorry. I mean, it's just not.
What it affects.
But yeah, listen, I'm going to say this. Whenever, I was going to say Assassin's Creed, whenever GTA 6 comes out, it's going to be a big deal. Personally, I can see it releasing maybe 2021. At that point, there's going to be a significant amount of sales. Each of the consoles could be up in the 20 to 25 million range, right? Maybe the PlayStation has a little bit edge because they're in more areas than the Xbox. But it should be. Sales are not going to be hurt, I don't personally think, by leaving out next gen. I think that they have to leave it behind because, this game is going to be massive. Yeah. And it's going to need it.
Rockstar doesn't play around. They use the power of what they're given,
Right. No, they're going to, as big as this game is supposedly going to be, they're not going to be able to work with CPU bottlenecks.
Yeah.
Like you're getting right now in the current gen. And it's going to be interesting. But I'm going to say this. This has been an amazing 2 hours. I can't believe we were able to get almost every topic in. Some I left out that were not really that important. I wanted to hit all the ones that we got. So I want to get to the outros, and Zemi, I want to start with you first, dude. Obviously, you are a regular panel member on Breakfast with Boom. I love having you on the show. Love your insight. Love, of course, how you talk. You talk about being scared of games. That's always funny the way you describe it. But you have an amazing YouTube channel. As a matter of fact, you have 2 channels. One that's set for gaming and community, and the other one is set for something different. Please tell everyone where they can check out your work, and more importantly, give this guy a follow on Twitter, for crying out loud. His numbers are abysmal. Could we do some sort of a campaign to get Zemi some followers? Take it away, Zemi.
Thank you so much, Boom. Fantastic show as always. And everyone on the panel had fantastic opinions about all the different topics. If you guys want to follow me on YouTube, you can do so by searching for Zimmy Games. You can also follow me on Twitter at Zimmy Games. And then I also do have a brand new channel that I actually need to put some more content up on the channel. I've been slacking a little bit. But if you guys like conspiracy theories, paranormal, ghost kind of stuff, definitely check out my newest channel. It's called The Strange. But Boom, thank you so much. Fun as always.
Yeah, it's great to have you here, dude. And it's funny that you have a channel about spooky things and you don't like scary games.
Oh,
It's pretty interesting.
Okay, you know what's I don't know if you've seen the very first video on there. It's actually the only video on the channel. I've been really focused on my gaming channel, but as I was filming it, I was trying to do a spooky voice, and then whenever I was editing the video, I kept scaring myself. I swear, I was scaring myself by the video I made.
Oh my god, that is hilarious, Zemi. I love it. I love it.
It's bad.
Real quick, Zemi, Thanaros in the chat says he'll follow you if you play Resident Evil 7. That's probably not going to happen, folks. I'm going to pay for that one.
No.
Yeah, he says no. All right. Well, listen, dude, great to have you here. Love the stories. I really enjoy having you on the panel as a regular panel member. So thanks again for being here. And of course, I want to go next to Titan Drago, who I really think that you are an integral part of Salty's show on Thursdays at 9 p.m. You do, when you're up, have an unbelievable radio voice that I don't know whether you like your own voice or not. I hate mine, but people seem to think that it's a radio voice, whatever. But I do enjoy your parodies. I think that you are almost on the verge of stand-up comedy at points. Please tell everyone where they can check out your YouTube channel, but more specifically, follow you on Twitter, dude.
Yeah, Twitter, YouTube, Xbox at Titan Drago, man. I'm all three. I'm on all 3 of them all the time.
And you're a teacher, by the way.
Yeah, just became a teacher. Yep. Yeah, my next, it's funny you say about the comedic thing, because my next video is going to be a comedic skit. If you remember the late night show with Conan O'Brien, he did a skit with Andy Richter, and it was called In the Year 2000. In the year 2000. So if you know me, I like to take something and put my own twist on it, and that's what I'm going to do with my next video. Until then, everybody, let's bring in the common back to sense.
I love it. I love it. Well, again, thanks for being here, dude. Let's not make this too far from your next visit. Hopefully before the summer ends and you get back to school, we get you on here at least one more time. Sure. And I want to talk about the next guest who I met at E3 for the first time. Ansley, thanks again for being here, dude. This was something that we talked about at E3, getting you on the show, of course. I want to really kind of move people towards your YouTube channel as well as your site, which I think is so fantastic. I mean, the way it looks is very professional, but I do really appreciate that your tagline is that integrity in what you guys do is the focal point. And I think that that's something that's missing from the gaming media today, almost to the point of being gross. And the fact that you have that as something that you really kind of plant your flag into the ground about is really refreshing. I want you to tell everyone where they can check out your site and follow you guys on Twitter. And also, of course, check out your amazing YouTube channel.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Boom, guys. Been a pleasure this morning, and sorry I was a little more quiet than usual. I had a long, late drunken night last night, so I'm still like waking up. No, I appreciate that. When I started the site, yeah, so you can find us seasongaming.com, Season Gaming YouTube channel, Season Gaming on Twitter, Season Gaming everywhere. I'm Porsche Power, that's my gamer tag, and you can find me kind of everywhere as well. Please check out Bert Signs and Dan Rodriguez, who do reviews and other things for the channel as well. But yeah, I appreciate that, Boom. We really focus on I founded the site because of that. The gaming media in general, just you know, there's too much clickbait, too much nonsense, too much bullshit out there.
Say that again.
There you go.
And I just got sick of it. And so I started the site. We don't deal in any of that at all, which is really hard to do. It's hard to. So many sites rely on it for clicks. So it's hard to like maintain a site that gets clicks, that doesn't have any nonsense. And there's a balance to be had there. And then we don't have any ads. There's no monetization on anything we do. There's no ads. There's no nothing. We fund it all out of pocket. So
Wow.
Which can add up.
Yeah.
So
sure.
So anything that you know, any support is greatly appreciated. I love chatting with everyone. Met a ton of good people, obviously you guys, and so many others on Twitter since I started this. So it's just been a real pleasure. Pleasure getting to meet you at E3, man. I can't wait to do it again next year.
Yeah, it was great to meet you and Bert. I actually, like I said, I want to get you guys both on the show in a future show because I think that you guys bring a lot to the table, and people should know your work. I think you should have more subs. I think people should gravitate towards your site because it's real easy in 2019 to get wrapped up in the Kotakus, the GameSpots, and the other scumbag media sites that basically just completely lie on clickbaits, and you know, we're not even going to talk about the landmines field that is YouTube when it comes to clickbaitery. It's really refreshing to get an honest take. It's what I built this channel on. And I will stay at under 3,000 subs or quit the business if I was required to change in any way. I like being honest. I like being, forward thinking, and I like people coming here and enjoying themselves and not worrying about console war bullshit or stuff just to get clicks. You're going to get honest opinions. You're going to get excitement. You're going to get what you want. I look at this. I come at this channel as being a fan first, not a content creator first. So I put out here what I would want to see, and I hope that it translates to what the chat and anyone that watches this video afterwards is going to want to see. And certainly last and in no way least, CyberKnox. I got to tell you, dude, shame on me as a host, this being your first show, because I've enjoyed your work, and I could have sworn I've had you on the show once before. This is certainly not going to be the last time you're on here. Loved what you did today. I want you to do me a favor and tell everyone where they could come get an autograph from the next Batman, but more specifically, follow you on Mixer and all your other social media places where they could find you, bro.
I certainly appreciate that, Boom. But honestly, the honor is all mine. I know we've had, because of my work schedule, this is my first time podcasting. It's kind of like what you said before. I've heard you say this, and this is like a dream come true for me, talking to everyone who's just as passionate about gaming as I am. So the honor is really mine. Thank you so much for inviting me. Thank you everybody on the panel as well. My is easy. CyberKnox all across the board, on Xbox, Twitter, Twitch, and Mixer. I also I started a second channel that's dedicated solely to Xbox Game Pass.
Nice.
I think it's the best service out there.
Yes.
And if you've ever been part of a book club, it's similar to that. We often
that's really good, dude.
Yeah,
that's
we
excellent.
often get fatigued. We get gamer fatigue as well with open world games. We usually play the same genres over and over again, and that creates gamer fatigue. And with Xbox Game Pass, we can stop all that. So what I'm doing now is every month I pick a game at random, and then we play that game and we discuss the game as a community. So we'll give that game the attention that it deserves, and that way I want to expand my gaming portfolio. I want to expand my knowledge on gaming, experience different genres. And to do that, I think Xbox Game Pass is the best place to do that. And that name of that channel is Xbox Game Pass Club. So if
Nice,
you guys can either
dude.
go and follow me on either one of those channels, like I said, Boom, thank you so much for the invite. It's been an honor. And hopefully, I was able to hold my own for my first podcast.
Dude, you did amazing. You sound like a podcast professional, brother. Really, this show or the shows that I do is just the way I enjoy it is that it's just a bunch of gamers hanging out talking games. There's no real science to it. People are passionate about gaming, and if you are and you appreciate and you get excited like I do, then it's really easy. But you did really fantastic. I want to thank the panel again for being here. I also want to thank the chat. First of all, you guys were going back and forth with each other. I love that about you. I love that you're even though you have different opinions, there's no race calling or name calling or unnecessary bullying. We don't stand for any of that. Obviously, I don't know if I had any moderators in there, but I don't necessarily usually need them. Usually, UK Dazarus, Indie Gamer, Salty is a moderator as well. I saw him in there. We don't usually have to boot people off because the trolls stay away because this is a fun community. This is not a toxic one, and that's where they thrive, not here. So thank you guys for being who you are and showing up each and every week. Thanks again for the generosity in the super chat. That was pretty amazing from everybody. And I just want to wish everyone a fantastic holiday weekend. Don't drink and drive. I know it's the police thing to say, but seriously, don't do it. Call a cab, call an Uber. Treat people how you want to be treated. And guess what, folks? It doesn't cost anything to be nice. So be nice to one another. Have a fantastic weekend once again. And we'll see you next week on the next episode of Breakfast with Boom. Take care, everyone.
Later, everyone.